Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we back. It's your boy Cool McCain, my man Box up here in the corner. And I got my cousin from another mother on the other side. Well, my cousin from another auntie on the other side. You know what I'm saying? Every second Friday, this is what you're gonna see. You know what I'm saying? Every second Friday. We in here. Box, what's been going on, man?
I mean, man, just living the life, man. Been a minute since we been on here talking some sports. Obviously, a lot's happened. NFL season wrapped up. Got free agency. NBA's going strong. About to hit March Madness. Just a lot going on, man.
Absolutely. And couch coach, me and you been breaking bread on the beast, but hey, how everything been since then, man? How everything been?
Everything's been good, man. And it's funny to think like it just time goes by so fast. And yeah, and it's funny we, go throughout the whole season, the grind of it. And it's like, we flip the new page in a matter of a few weeks. But yeah, everything's been great, man. Off season. Well, ain't really no off season, but you know what I mean. It's been going great.
The new season, we'll say.
The new season, right?
And if off season is like a week and a half long,
right? You breathe, right? And it's a new year.
And then for couch coach, it don't even be that.
Yeah,
I know,
you know what I'm saying? But hey, y'all, we back. We can do things a little bit different, right? So we're gonna do a couple of things here, y'all. See how y'all like it. Might be fun. So we're gonna start off with everybody, if they want to, giving their opening drives. A few minutes. So anything you may want to talk about that's been happening in the world of sports, right? And after that, we're going to have kind of like an open discussion where we're just going to chop it up, talk about different things in sports. Then we'll finish if there's something you really wanted to get out there that maybe we didn't have a chance to talk about. In a few minutes at the end, you can shoot that out there to everybody. And then we out. Simple. I think it works. So couch coach as the guest extraordinaire. Start with you, man. Your opening drives or anything you want to just throw out there. Talk about real quick.
Yes. It is here we are head on a Friday night. Where will the two-time Richmond Times-Dispatch Player of the Year, Russell Wilson, will land? The curious case of Russell Wilson. I find it very odd in this late date in free agency that he has not been signed yet. There was inklings, tea leaves, breadcrumbs when Seattle traded for DK for him to go to Seattle. I'm not Seattle, but to Pittsburgh. You thought, okay, 1 + 1 = 2. Not so fast, my friend. And now, who would have thought that the only quarterback that they have in the room is Mason Rudolph? So what are they going to do with my two-time Richmond Times-Dispatch Player of the Year, Russell Wilson? Where will he land?
You know where he is right now.
Yeah.
The reports are he ain't left. He's still there.
Yeah, right. He could be. He's in Berea, Ohio. So yeah, it's he might get some. He might leave there with a deal. You're right.
No, actually, he's in New York. He's talking to the Giants right now.
Okay, yeah. Because I know he went to Cleveland. Oh, that's right. He went to Cleveland. I get my days all mixed up there.
Before
yesterday, yeah.
All right, Box. Anything you want to throw out there, sir?
I mean, man, not a lot. I think we'll cover most of it as we go. I'll just say that for all the people out there that's been blowing me up over the last 3-4 days, stop panicking about free agency, especially the first couple of days. Just stop blowing me up. I'm trying to work.
Fair enough. So you know what I want to talk about. I would like to discuss the now two-time Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Since we last had the pleasure of being together on the show with all you good people, Philadelphia finished that 10-game winning streak. The Commanders gave us that work. Ain't gonna sit here and whine and complain about this or that or whatever. They gave us that work. That's the only game we lost after the first 4 weeks of the season. Went ahead, made it through. Game against Washington again the third time. Got to the Super Bowl, put in some work on Patty Mayo and the Kansas City Chiefs. And there are some Chiefs fans that I ain't gonna call nobody's specific name, but shout out to there are Chiefs fans that hit me up when the game was over. Like, good job, bro. I did y'all's thing, whatever. There was some, but there was some of y'all and some fans of other teams as well. Oh, once you get 5 like the Cowboys, once you get 3 like us, all I'm gonna simply say to those people is this. Have you had any in the last 7 years? Have you had any in the last 10 years? You got 2. So while there's a lot of teams that do still have more championships, we acknowledge that. We understand that. You hating on the reigning and defending champions because you ain't got nothing better because your team is bad. Ain't one Commanders fan hit me up and say, oh, we got 3 and y'all got 2. Ain't one Giants fan hit me up and say, oh, we got 3 and y'all got 2. I had some 49ers fans, not this guy here, but some 49ers fans, some Cowboys fans, Steelers fans, those are the ones hitting me up. Those are the ones trying to, we still got more than you. Congratulations. Are you reigning and defending champions? Can you go out right now and get a t-shirt, keychain, anything that says you are the current champions? If you cannot, miss me with your tomfoolery and your haberdashery. Okay. Congratulations to Philly for what they did. Big ups to the teams we played. And I respect a lot, not all, but a lot of the Chiefs and how they handled, losing. There's a few I don't respect, but for the most part, I respect those guys because they did say, hey, we caught the L. It is what it is. We're going to keep it moving. Respect. We done caught plenty of L's too. We all have. But thankfully, we didn't catch many this past season. That's my opening drive. All right, so now this is where things going to get a little fun, y'all. We're just going to be chopping it up, talking about it. Bot's going to kind of be our moderator for this part of the show. Bots, man, where we starting it, bro?
So we just gonna just take how Coach Hoffer. He dipped on us or what?
He probably he might have frozen and just jumped off for a second to get back right. He'll be back.
Okay. It was just funny how like all of a sudden it's just like he was just gone.
Right, like right at that moment. Yeah, that's the moment that he was like, yeah, let me get about it.
I was like, what you don't want Couch Coach to participate in the conversation, man? What's up with that?
Not me, sir. I don't do those type of things. I do not.
That's why I was flabbergasted, man.
That was some new type of poppycock happening over here, sir.
Yeah. So, curious, man. Just going to kick it off. Big thing, obviously, right now, free agency, right? What are your thoughts on some of these deals? Because I got to be honest, man. I think a lot of these deals, massive overpays, especially early on.
Yeah, a lot of overpays. I'm going to talk about some gentlemen from our own particular. There we go. We got him back. He's back. But I think for me, I just say, man, a lot of the dudes that have gotten these early contracts, a couple of guys from the Eagles, Milton Williams, definitely overpaid. But if you can secure the bag, secure the bag. I understood that he was going to probably be gone. 99% probability he was going to be gone. Josh Sweat was basically a mercenary, so understood that he was going to be gone, right? But a lot of these guys are getting these big deals early on. I think it's because there's no one better. Not that they're necessarily, and this is not, again, not to hail anybody, not that they're necessarily top tier guys, but they're the best guys, or at least perceived to be the best guys available. So you're trying to get them locked up and make sure you get them the money early because you don't want to lose them to somebody else.
Yeah, the thing I have with it is some of them make sense, right? Like you mentioned Josh Sweat. And I think for Arizona, a team who really needed a pass rusher, You're getting a guy who hasn't really fully hit his prime yet, less than $20 million a year, right? Now, was it necessarily worth y'all to spend that money to bring him back? Obviously, y'all didn't feel like that made sense for you. But I think for them, it's actually a pretty good deal. But I'm looking at some of these other teams, like the Rams paying Devontae Adams over $20 million on a 2-year deal. Like, if you look at the numbers, he wasn't any more productive than Cooper Kupp, who was already in your system and already knew your stuff. But you moved on from Kupp, and now you got to pay him $22 million in dead cap money. So basically, you're paying 2 receivers $40 million, and you're going to get probably the same production you were getting out of the one you already had. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
What you think, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's the kind of the beauty thing with the Eagles, the depth that you guys have. So it's easier to kind of absorb those losses. Like that, and I think that's the kind of the beauty thing about it. And I think even when we talked about it, as far as we looked at Milton Williams. I looked at him as kind of like it was going to be the unsung hero. Where you had that type of production in the Super Bowl with him, but then you think he wasn't really an integral part of the totality of the success of the Eagles this year. So, he came out in that first game, like you said, in the Super Bowl, but it's just one of those things where, like you said, this is what happens when you are a Super Bowl champion. Those unsung heroes, those guys, they get paid. And I think that's just the nature of it. And like you said, it's just the market. The market is just what it is. Like you said, and maybe like next year, as far as with that, would it be different? It would be different. It's just more so of, hey, it's just with the talent pool and the free agency. And hey, they, like you said, they got their money, and that's what that's what you do. You win. That's why you win these Super Bowl, because of like stuff like this, where you get a big payday like that for those guys, for sure.
Absolutely. And if you are listening to us, seeing us, if you're live watching us, hey, hop in the comments, right? If you are listening to us on Real Wise Radio or 502 Angel Radio, feel free to search our page, PlayCallers Sports Talk, on Facebook. Leave us some comments, things you want to talk about, all those good things. We here to chop it up with y'all and what y'all want to hear, what y'all want to talk about, what y'all want to discuss. But yeah, I'll come back around and I'll say I agree with Kyle's coach as far as certain teams being able to absorb certain losses. And I think for the teams who are losing as players, I'm gonna switch it to that side for a second. You have to look at, are there other guys available that may fit the system that they're doing? Is it a cost-cutting move? Does it make sense for the organization based on the performance of that specific, player, right? So, for instance, I go back to the Eagles, Mil Williams, $20 million a year. Is that something that would be valuable if he was on the Eagles for that amount of money? And I would say probably not, right? But at the same time, like Bach said, Arizona, another place where he knows the coach. Because keep in mind, Gan Yass, as we call him in Philly land, without the Y, was the defensive coordinator, did not have his team prepared for the Super Bowl against Kansas City the first time. Couldn't get him cleats that worked or anything. It just kind of had already checked out of being the defensive coordinator of the team for the Super Bowl. So he has a history with this guy. It's a guy that knows him. So it makes sense for him to go there, and it makes sense for that team to say, hey, you should pay this guy this amount of money because I know what he can do. I've coached him before as his defensive coordinator. So you kind of got a guy on the inside that's kind of, rocking with you there. So it makes sense for a move like that to happen. And you have that happen with some of these trades, like Geno Smith. Who's he linking back up with? One Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, he had his best years as a quarterback. And before y'all start, I'd be like, that's not saying a lot. That's a different discussion for another day. But he had his best years with Pete Carroll as his coach in Seattle. So now he gets to kind of get that old thing back real quick. So, just stuff like that, man. It's interesting to see those things continue to play out. But a lot of guys have had opportunities to go places. I do think a lot of these guys are getting overpaid. But again, I don't hate on anybody for getting their money. They're willing to pay it to you. You better take that money.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna say this. For me, it's not a matter of the players getting paid, right? Like, cool. Like, you get paid, you get paid. Like, I don't have no issue with the players getting paid. But I'm going to look at some of these teams and say, why would you pay that money, right? Because some of these teams, it's one thing if you overpay for a position of need and you are that one or two pieces away from contending for a chip, right? But some of these teams are bottom dwellers. Why are you spending money on guys who don't deserve the money when you're a bottom dweller? Like I forget the dude's name, but Tennessee gave like starting left tackle money to like a mediocre left tackle. Why? You're garbage. You're not going to be good this year.
Right.
Why are you overpaying a mediocre tackle?
You about to say something, Couch Coach?
Yeah, I agree. Like, and that's the thing where it's kind of one of the things where these teams got. It's almost like I feel as though it's like how people always say you got a hole burning out of your pocket, and I think like you said, Box, that's kind of a move there where it's like it's kind of curious because think yourself, you can get that kind of production maybe a Friday night or a Saturday afternoon pick in 6 weeks from now. You can get that type of talent, and like you said, this team, like you said, they're not a left tackle away from, from contending. They need just about everything, especially on the offensive standpoint. So like you said, it's just one of those where, like you said, it's just, I got money to spend, I'm just going to blow it. And I think that's where the problem kind of lies. And like you said, that's just the market, unfortunately.
A team that makes no sense to me at all is the Houston Texans. You have one glaring issue on your team, and we all know it's offensive line. Yep. And you went out and you signed a guy who is well past his prime. And I know this because he used to be on my team, and he was already towards the end of his career when he was with us. And that was a couple of years ago. So I doubt he's gotten any better in the last few years. And then you traded away two of your offensive linemen. I mean, do you think that C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Christian Kirk are going to somehow make up for the fact you can't block to save your life?
And they were two solid pieces, Kenyon Green and Larry Tunstall. Yeah. And that's where what's the sticking point? Obviously, with us being a recipient of Larry Tunstall, now you're hearing all these bad things. Oh, he's a locker room cancer, this, that, and the third. Why is this all coming out now? Like, this is the thing where it's just like, all these, subplots and all these, well, they were good against the run, but it ain't him, like he's a piece, like your building piece. Like he was like your cornerstone. And then Kenyon Green, I thought, because that was somebody who I wanted, when he was coming out of the draft 2 years ago, and pretty much you think to yourself, now you just got rid of him. So it's like, you think to yourself, like, how you going to help improve CJ Stroud, his development? And that's the thing where you got rid of, even though your line was bad, but you got rid of your best pieces that, hey, I can at least, there are two guys I can say, hey, okay, if I want to rebuild this line, they're salvageable. I can put them and add to what I have, not to get, and it's not like you essentially replacing them with something, like you get, obviously you get the bevy of picks from Washington, but those picks, are going to be late picks in those rounds, especially, I mean, the way I'm thinking, it might be in that late 20s, early 30s, potentially in all those rounds. So, but
it's not like you had like a top 5 pick this year where you could say, "Oh, we're going to go out and we're going to draft our left tackle of the future in the draft this year." Like you don't even have that option.
Right.
I think it's a lot of let's get the best or what we think is the best players that are available for some of these teams, and clearly not enough. Let's get what's needed, at least early on. Kind of like Bob said, the one thing is you don't want to jump too many conclusions this early on, because there is a process and there will be a leveling out. Some of these top guys, or quote unquote top guys in the eyes of the people who are the decision makers, are now going to have to swing things back around, look at these people and say, okay, what are we going to do now? What is going to be after that? All right, we still need the left tackle, for instance, with you, Houston. You still need some receiver help, right? So how are we going to fix those holes in the team? That's going to be what's interesting. That's going to be the next couple of weeks to the next month up until the draft, and a little bit after that, figuring out how you fill in some of those guys that are low risk, high reward type players that you're kind of trying to look for and find. That's, I think, what everybody's doing now, that they spent their money, or a lot of teams overspent already. So they're like, the Eagles just cutting people. And it's kind of crazy. So we're going to hit the comments here real quick. What up, Damien? I knew Damien was going to be in the comments. So Damien says, Eagles losing CJ and Slade made no sense at all. I think CJ made no sense. I don't have a problem with Slade because he talked too much. And you get to the point where you keep talking. If you go back in the locker room, you're probably going to get knocked out every day. So I think he needed to be cut just because he talked too much. And was he a good help when he was there? Absolutely. Won't knock his time, but you've got to fit into the locker room culture of the team. And that may be something that hasn't come out yet, but that may be part of the issue with CJ too. It may be just have been the locker room fit, things that we didn't hear about, but that were going on. I mean, not trying to start any speculation, not trying to hate on CJ. I love what CJ did both of the years that he was in Philly. You know, he was one of our better players on defense, and I hate to see him go, but it has to be a reason. And at some point, the Eagles are going to have to tell me what it is, but it has to be a reason for that move. Anthony says, I want to cut to New England to help Drake May out. Well, Anthony, there's a lot of teams, and I feel you, but there's a lot of teams that wanted Cup and felt like he could play a role for them, you know, and ultimately he chose Seattle. So ultimately he shunned Dallas. Just like someone else we might want to talk about. DeMarcus Lawrence had a little bit of a back and forth with Mr. Micah Parsons. And I don't have it pulled up at the moment. But basically, DeMarcus Lawrence kind of did a little interview talking about being in Seattle and how, you know, Dallas will always be his area, his home, and everything. But he didn't think he could win a championship there. So then Micah gets on and Micah fashion, wop, yap, all that. I ain't going to go through all that. And then basically DeMarcus says, well, hey, man, maybe if you spent less time podcasting and talk about everybody else and more time with the team, help the team be better, maybe we'd have a chance to win and I'd still be there. So before I go any deeper with the comments, I just want to ask you guys real quick, what do y'all think about that? I love it. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, my issue with Michael Parsons for a couple of years now has been he seems like the quintessential Dallas Cowboy. And what I mean by that is he cares more about the prestige of, or the alleged prestige of having that star on his helmet than he does about actually producing results. Because he talks a whole lot of trash from somebody that ain't did nothing.
That's a lot.
Facts. And it's one of the things where it's a classic case of hit dogs will holler. Because DeMarcus Lawrence, he didn't say anything personal about Michael initially. But the biggest thing was, hey, this is an opportunity for me to potentially win. And I see his point of it. You know, Seattle does have a young emerging team. I don't necessarily think they're going to be Super Bowl, you know, contenders in the near future, but they got something growing. You have a great coach in McDonald, his second year there. So you think to yourself, and coupled with him being there, DeMarcus Lawrence being there and having that veteran leadership, he can help elevate this team, a team that, could potentially be a playoff team and could be, a thorn on Boxer's side in San Francisco and also with the, in NFC West potentially. So for Micah to strike back, it's just like, what was the point of that? Because, did you really feel you must have felt a certain kind of way for you to go at him like that. So to me, it just goes to show you kind of just that sensitivity that he has. And it's just like some things you just don't necessarily have to address. This is not anything for him to address. But I think even with his comment, DeMarcus Lawrence's comment about going to Seattle was like kind of tongue in cheek. But I don't think it warranted the response that Micah had, for sure. He didn't.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Coach, that it's really, he got up in his feelings, right? Because in Micah's mind, he's like this super great player. Why would you possibly think that playing with me wouldn't lead us to win a championship at some point? I think he's the delusional as Jerry. So,
Yeah, and it's turmoil. It's turmoil in Dallas. I mean, this is once again like the turnover. Like every, and you look at now what Seattle's doing. They have a plan in place. They have structure there, and they got somebody who I think going to be there for quite a long time. Versus here, who knows what Schottenheimer's how long he's going to be there, and it's just it's an organization in chaos. It's a chaos. It's a chaotic situation in Dallas.
Let me share something that I came across the other day, and I sent to another buddy of mine who's a Giants fan. I haven't fact checked this, but I'm assuming that it's accurate. The Cowboys have not signed a free agent over $6 million per year in free agency since Greg Hardy in 2015.
Mm.
I mean, just let that marinate. That's wild.
Bizarre.
And for the last person to be Greg Hardy, maybe after that, Jerry was like, "We ain't doing that no more."
Because we done.
That's all I can think of. Like, that's all I can think of.
And the thing is, man, like, we always talk about how the Cowboys haven't won anything in a while. And I always had this conversation with Cowboy fans because they'd be like, well, we actually won one year after you. It's actually been longer for you than for us. And I'm like, yeah, but at least we've been relevant. At least we've had opportunities. Y'all ain't been nothing. Y'all lucky to win playoff games.
We got a couple of comments here we can slide into what we're talking about right now, as a matter of fact. Damian says, D-Law wasn't lying. I mean, the Cowboys haven't been relevant for decades. Plus, why is Micah so offended? Didn't he just make a comment not that long ago about players shouldn't come to Dallas? That is a very good point, Damian. That's a very good point. Sure. Hypocrisy runs rampant in professional sports. Hypocrisy runs rampant. Sure. Anthony says, players said they're not going to the Giants because they're not winning. Well, if you're trying to win, you going to the Giants.
Hey,
those two things are not equal and don't make sense. So
I'm gonna piggyback on that one though and say that sometimes people say they don't want to be somewhere because they're not winning, but then you throw $40 million a year and they cue up the Ted DiBiase theme music.
Ooh,
or the primetime players. Millions of dollars.
I was going to Ted DiBiase because everybody's got a price.
Everybody got a price.
Everybody's got a pay.
We'll give you $40 million a year. I don't hate it that much.
Say what? You gonna do what? What had happened was maybe I didn't appreciate. No, the best part of that whole thing, though, the best part. I'm gonna get back to the rest of the comments, but the best part of that was one of his conditions where they had that bring in a Super Bowl winning quarterback and they brought in Kenny Pickett.
Oh, you know what? Sean, look, Kenny.
Yo, I mean,
I didn't even catch that, but that's hilarious.
No, because
No.
literally they said one of the things was they was like, for him to come back, they had to bring in a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and they did.
They did.
They sure did. They did. It's
They might-
a
they might-
Carson
they might
Wentz
go-
like situation.
They might go get Nick Foles and say they brought in 2.
Stop it.
Right.
He's already retired, man. Stop it.
Bring it back. Bring it on
And
retirement.
if they give him 40 million, he'll come back.
We all come back, right? Like,
I
shoot.
get out there for 40 million. Shoot. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I'll get out there for that. All right, so a couple more comments here, guys. So Damien says the Dolphins getting and overpaying Zach Wilson is a joke. Wanting Zach Wilson to be is a bigger joke, but that is a joke as well.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's another interesting destination for him.
He always seems
Very
to get
peculiar.
chance.
I mean, but the thing is, like $6 million for a backup quarterback isn't
That's
terrible,
great.
and especially when you consider the fact that your starting quarterback tends to like to run into things head first and miss games. So
Man, Tua, please put on the triple helmet next year, my boy. We need to protect you.
and just stop running into stuff.
Slide.
Man, Tua probably get hurt slide.
No, Coach. I don't need one to slide. Don't run at all.
Go to bounds. Yeah.
Don't run at all.
If you run, it should be to get out of bounds. Yeah.
Tua needs to do 2 things: drop back, and if anybody get hit, just fall to the ground. That's it. That's his 2.
I don't even think I want to fall to the ground because he might scramble something and get hit.
But I don't know. The fact that the thing that kills me about the situation is he runs into DeMar Hamlin, and I'm thinking to myself,
that was crazy.
You survived.
That was crazy.
That was what the young kid said. That's crazy work.
Yes,
that's nasty work. Right.
That's
nasty work.
That makes people go, this is why we think the NFL scripted. That right there. That's why people think that.
Right. It's crazy. Right. And he hit him square in the chest too, out of all pieces.
Of all the people. And all the places.
And I'm just like, in prime time at that. I'm like,
I was like, he didn't, did he? He didn't. He couldn't have. It was.
Like, what are you doing?
And I saw that. I was like, wow, that's wild. Yeah, it was wild.
Right.
That was really wild. AP in the building. AP says Tunsil leads the NFL with false starts, but who cares? He's better than what we had.
Yeah, and it's AP's point. Yeah, now you at the time we had Coleman at that left tackle spot. Now he moves back to his old position to where he needs to be, and now you bring in a guy like Larry Tunsil. Yeah, and that's the thing too, where this is another classic case of need versus want. This is this PlayStation 5 or a jacket or a winter coat. We're getting winter coats. A winter coat can keep you warm in a winter, not a PlayStation 5.
I like
Stay warm.
I like the analogy, sir. So Damien asked the question, which move is more stupid, Texas trading Tunsil or 49ers trading Debo? I'll just personally say I don't think either one was stupid. I think they were good moves for both sides on both ends, personally.
Yeah, I mean, from the 49ers perspective, I'll say this. You had a situation last year where Brandon Ayuk came to camp late, really clearly was not in sync, was not conditioned, ends up getting injured, out for the season. You really need Debo to step up. This is Debo's numbers from last year. 51 receptions, 670 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That is not worth $25 million a year. Right? Now, it's not necessarily that it's a bad move for Washington because he goes to Washington. He doesn't have to be the number one guy, right? You have actual weapons there. So to me, it's one of those things that worked out for both teams in this particular situation. I would say the Tunsil trade is the dumber one only because it was dumb on Houston's part to get rid of him.
Houston said the line gonna suck either way. So we might as well stop paying dudes until we get a line together that can win.
Well, if that was going to be your philosophy, you should have waited to draft a quarterback until you had that fixed. Because you're going to get CJ Stroud murdered.
They probably thought they had it fixed until they didn't. Just to guess.
And to kind of and to piggyback on Box's point, where because I think when you look at Washington, it's like there are a few playmakers away from breaking through. and you get a guy like Kit with Debo Samuels is a right fit for that team because San Francisco and Washington are going in different directions. Versus like the Bucs said, it's not worth paying him that kind of money, especially considering the fact the trajectory of where they're going is better for them to go younger and cheaper, which they will definitely get there. That's why you look at Ricky Parasol. That's his replacement. That's why he's there. So that makes sense for San Francisco, and that's what they're going to do. And then like what Debo can do and watch his offense, what Cliff Kingsbury says, eye candy. He's an eye candy kind of guy. And now you couple that, and we can get a home run hitting running back, and he can be that Swiss Army knife for our team. And he, and that's one thing too, where it's all about fitting the pieces. This is like I said, it's the winter coat. It's not the PlayStation 5. You got a guy that you really need versus what you want.
Yeah, a lot of people,
versus want.
A lot of people, if you're looking at the 49ers, you're going to be caught up on all the exits, all the people that aren't there. And Cool will tell you, I knew all those people were going to be gone. The only one I thought we might try to bring back was Greenlaw. And I'm sure we did try to. We just didn't want to meet what he got paid. But the thing is, I think offensively, we've made some sneaky moves. You went and brought Farrell in from Jacksonville. He's a good blocking tight end. If he can stay in and block and help in the running game, that means Kittle can actually go out for more passes. So now you're not having to take Kittle out of the passing game to do run blocking. Don't forget, you get CNC back healthy this year. You can actually put him in the slot, and you can actually stay Mason or Garindo, who both had great seasons last year, and in tailback. So you're able to do some different things that I think negate a little bit about what you're losing in terms of not having Debo.
Hey, P got a little comment there about the 49ers since we're talking about them. He says Mac Jones going to the 49ers is a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think for him coming in as a backup quarterback, it is a good spot, right? It's a place where he gets to come in and learn from Kyle. And we've seen that that's been successful for some other quarterbacks coming in, playing that backup role in San Francisco, getting some opportunities. Sam Darnold obviously comes to mind, but it's a situation where he doesn't have any expectations on him, right? He just gets to come in, kind of learn, be behind the scenes. And if he does, for whatever reason, have to end up getting in, then he's got good pieces around him, despite what people have you believe to the contrary. He's still got good pieces around him, and it's a good offensive system for a quarterback.
Shout out to Michael McCorkle Jones, the pride of Duval, and the former Pro Bowler. So yeah, we got to put a little respect on Michael McCorkle Jones' name a little bit. Put a little thing on.
Slide out with the full names on everybody. I love it. So I had a little rant for Howie. I've cooled off a little bit, but I found out that Howie doesn't have a middle name. So
legendary.
So what'll happen is when you do hear me do rants on Howard, you will hear different middle names every time, and those will be ones that I've made up myself, just to go ahead and put it out there.
And for anyone who doesn't know Cool personally, let me just tell you that half the time I think that's what he's doing anyways.
No, they're actually most of the time they're accurate, but Howie doesn't have one, so I will be making up several ones for Howie. So when you hear a different one every week, that will be the reason why. 100. That will be the reason why. 100%. As some of my buddies say, 100%. That will be why. All right, Damien says, AP says, I want to definitely talk about this one. It's funny how Garrett got a big deal later that day after Browns signed, traded for Kenny Pickett. And I got to tell you, man, part of the rant, we're gonna do it one of these days. I'm not gonna do it today because we got other talk some NBA, a little NCAA, March Madness too. But I will say this: it looks like Howard, and I'm gonna give him Orenthal today. Howard Orenthal, Roseman. It feels like he's getting fleeced a little bit so far. We got DTR and a late round pick back. You know what I'm saying? DTR, why you like him? He's not a guy you're gonna start. Right? He may end up being our backup, he may end up being our 3. But I feel like I don't know. We're gonna have to see how it goes for you, HOR, Howard Orenthal, Roseman. We're gonna have to see how things go.
I like it. I like DTR. I like DTR. He'll be a nice Saturday, 8:45, third Saturday in August matchup. Oh yeah, it'll be great. He's a preseason darling to me. I like seeing him play, especially in the preseason.
College coach, man. I love this guy, man.
Third week of August is on.
Third week of August in the preseason. Second game.
Third Saturday in August. He gonna cook. Let him cook.
And Damian says, I wonder how Dak feeling right now after what he said about Cowboys being a better team than the Eagles. Laugh out loud. Well, we know Dak probably had a concussion because he said it in the first place. So, yeah. Damian also says, I wish Tunzel was and Debo were with us in Chicago. I feel it, man.
Yep. Hey, that would have been scary.
And the last thing, because I know we're gonna move on, but the last thing, this is actually a really good question. Damien says, speaking of Sam Darnold, can somebody explain to me how in the HE hockey sticks Darnold's a upgrade from Geno? Because I swear they were the same person. Honestly, I think you're insulting Geno when you say that. But
I don't Spider-Man meme. I agree. I'm a bad boss.
I can answer this in one word. No, I cannot explain it to you at all.
Scrub LinkedIn with a scrub says, Couch Coach got hope for everyone. He ain't lying, boy. Couch Coach, Couch Coach went around talking about the legend of Tyler Heineke a few years ago, bro.
Yeah, man.
He have some hope for you.
He got extended. Shout out to my guy. Yep. Couch Coach does have extended.
He has a lot of belief in a lot of people, y'all. He does. He definitely does. So, hey, man, March Madness. A lot going on. Anything y'all want to talk about? I should throw it to Cody. What do y'all want to talk about? But we might get flagged because we're on Facebook, so I ain't gonna do it.
Yeah, don't get flagged.
Facebook be tripping, bro.
All I gotta say, it is just the beginning. What you have seen these last 14 days is a picnic. It is an appetizer. This time next week, the main course, you'll see a lot. It is so wide open. You can really make a case for so many teams. You're gonna see so much in these next 7 days. Upsets galore. 18 to 22, well now 18 to 25-year-old kids crying, and it's gonna be madness for sure.
That man said 18 to 25-year-old kids crying. He ain't lying. The sad part. I'm gonna even say this, man. To piggyback off Couch Coach, 100% agree with that. But even when you look at the women's side,
oh yeah.
South Carolina got a couple of L's this year. They're not like they looking better now, but there are some other teams you looking at like UCLA, the name one, a couple of other ones that could really come in and kind of this our year. You know what I'm saying? Then you got like the girl Juju at USC. She get in there and she get the cooking. So, it's going to be real open on that end, too. It's not going to be like it's been in the past.
Yeah. You know what? UConn reminds me of kind of circa the 2015 New England Patriots. Because remember, they went almost a decade without winning. UConn, if they're in a favorable bracket, they got a legitimate shot. Like you said, it's so many good teams. And Texas, I mean, you think, what they're doing. Like you said, UCLA, USC, and it's it's coast to coast, good teams on both coasts. So Oregon's
playing well too. I like what Oregon doing over there.
Yeah, shout out to Lil Deja.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys this: which tournament are you actually looking more forward to, the men's or the women's?
I'll let you go first, Couch, because I already know what I'm gonna say.
I'm gonna say women's because more of the star power. I think that's more of the star power and kind of the elimination of it, because then you're gonna have marquee matchups. I think even down to the round of 32 potentially, where you're gonna have, Juju going to get somebody, Betts from UCLA, everybody from South Carolina, Paige Beckers at UConn. It's just gonna be wide open, and I think it's more so just the overall star power. You only really, I think it's a few guys in the men's game that are like kind of box office. I know Damian mentioned earlier, just seconds ago, like Cooper Flag, which will he be playing in March Madness potentially? But we'll
right.
Later.
Yeah. Women easy, because I mean you said a lot of it. Basically, the big thing is you're going to have good matchups. You're going to have quality games. You're not going to have a lot of blowouts on the women's side after you get to the round of 32. Right? Once you can shave that first one off, it's going to be a lot of really good games, because there's a lot of really good teams in women's basketball this year, and you can't all be number 1s and 2s because there's too many teams. So you're going to have some teams that are trying to make a name for themselves. They're going to be out here like, Gambit, ooh, I'm about to make a name for myself in these tournaments. So you're going to have a lot of that going. I think on the men's side, there's a finite number of teams that really have enough to really be a champion, right? Because you don't have a lot of these teams anymore that can build that quality through guys being there 2, 3, 4 years, right? You get a lot of these guys 1, 2 years, and guys are staying, at least getting the stigma of they must not be very good if they seniors and they still in college, because everybody go to the NBA if they're good. So you get a lot of that too. So I think it's going to be fun on the women's side, because there's so many women that we're saying they're going to be WNBA players, or they're going to play professionally overseas somewhere, just because of the quality and skill of their talent. And then seeing them match up against each other is going to be very exciting to see. So definitely for me, the women's would be the better, but I'll still be watching the men. I'm not sitting here trying to dog the men. I'm just saying I feel like the women are going to be a better watch.
Yeah. And just a quick shout out. That was actually, the question was from AP. So just wanted to make sure I give him
yeah. There you go, right there, yo. And he even answers it himself. It says,
yeah,
the women easy.
Yeah.
Then he asked another question here. Do we think Cooper Flag will fall in the draft now that he is injured, and how far could he fall? Cooper Flag, I'm going to put it like this. There's 2 people that are going to be number 1. Cooper Flag on the men's side, Paige Beckers on the women's side. The only way Cooper Flag is not number 1 is if he decides that he's going to go back to school because he don't want to play for the team that's drafted number 1. That's the only way he's not number 1. If his ankle is broke and he got to wait a year to play, he's still going to be the number 1 pick.
Yes, the Washington Wizards would redshirt him. The New Orleans Pelicans would redshirt him. The Utah Jazz will redshirt him.
And the Charlotte
whoever can number 1 pick
is better than the Washington Wizards right now would redshirt him.
Who red shirts?
The New Orleans Pelicans are already used to redshirting people, sir.
Say what?
The Pelicans are already used to redshirting people.
Right.
Yeah.
Cooper Flag. Right.
They might not want to get him. They might want to say, "Nah, we're gonna pass."
They might be the one team to pass. They were like, we've already gone this route.
We got one of those guys from Duke with bad ankle.
And at Damian's point, essentially, Cooper Flag, the U.S. flag, blue flag, Cooper Flag, number 1 overall pick in this year's draft. Right. He can break his leg. Yep. Like he was in that wheelchair yesterday. Oh, he'll get rolled and get that jersey by Adam Silver.
Right.
Look, with a number 1 pick.
Still should have said,
right.
Projected number 1 pick, Cooper Flag hurts ankle. That's what it should have said.
Exactly. Because he could be on that wheelchair. Even Paul Pierce can roll him out to the draft, and he'll be number 1 overall pick. So straight
Scrub
up.
agrees with us as well. He says looking forward to the women's easily. Hey, that women's man.
Just star power.
Then,
star power.
Damien says women only for a certain reason. LPL.
Sometimes you just don't reach that shit. Sometimes you just let it go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody like, yep.
Pretty much.
I will say, man, it is good to see though that you do have that name value more so on the women's side right now, right? And that you have that star power, because what that says is that over the next couple of years, you're going to have these ladies going into the WNBA, which means the popularity of that league is going to continue to grow. Like this past year was a big growth spurt for them. And they look like they're going to be able to sustain it because they're getting these big names who are going to be coming into the league over the next couple of years. And that's huge.
Yeah.
One thing we got to mention, though, speaking of the WNBA, there may be a labor outage in the WNBA. They want money. We talked about this months ago. We talked about this last season. I think what they're essentially saying is what we really want is the same percentages that the men are getting. I hope it's not the same dollars because they're generating more, so they're going to get more, but I think they want the same percentages, which I think might be a bit of a reach just because the league is starting to gain popularity. But I would side with the women in saying that there should be an increase. They should be getting a larger piece than they're currently getting in this new collective bargaining agreement because they are making more money. They have some stars in there that are polarizing, good and bad, and people watching and wanting to kind of see what's happening with them. So for me, they should get more. Maybe you can't go from where you're at to where the men are at, but you should definitely be moving in that direction. And if y'all keep making the league better and getting more people watching, they can't really do much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, man, where it comes down to without knowing the specifics of the business, right? Without knowing exactly what kind of margins the league is working with and all that stuff, it's hard to say like what the actual number could be. But surely with all the extra money that came in last year and the money that should be coming in this year, the league should be able to afford to pay them more than what they were making.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's one of the things where I understand. Yes, you are taking you're taking a few steps up a ladder.
Right.
You still have to. To me, I still think it's kind of premature at this point. And I get where they're saying as far because I don't necessarily think they want like as far as the revenue share because I think what the NBA is it's like 50-50. My memory is correct. And I know they're not going to get 50-50 off of this deal. Nah. They got to at some point kind of come. They got to come to some type of happy medium, and then have some type of steps. Okay, if we grow in this revenue, we can get this amount, this and a third. So I think they will come to the table, and I think it'll be they have the leverage, but they have to do it correctly. Like don't like as far as you're going to start having the star power, especially in the few years now. We got Paige should be coming in this year. Dallas, that should probably more likely be going to Dallas than where Juju will go. Hopefully she goes to the Wizards. I pray to the basketball gods that she go to the Wizards. But really like we talked about the NCAA
Charlotte's team, but that's a different story.
Right. But like we talked about the NCAA tournament where the women's where we have star power on each team or each collective unit. I think we're going to get to a point where we're going to have that going in WNBA soon. I mean, you already got like a Caitlin Clark, what she's doing in Indiana, Angel Reese in Chicago, these young emerging superstars. So I think once you get some more of those in there, you're not necessarily going to get a Caitlin Clark every year, but you can get something that's similar and different. There, you can kind of leverage more, have a little bit more leverage because now, okay, we got, 10, potentially 10 marketable stars on each team and what have you. And then obviously with expansion too, now that's another thing too. You have the expansion coming too. So it's one of those things where it's like, hold your horses. I get where you want to go, but there's levels to it. You got to let it kind of all play out and then, just have a healthy medium, but always continue to kind of come back.
I think what I'm hearing you say, Coach, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's like they went ahead and opted out of the CBA 2 years early because they wanted to take this opportunity to capitalize on the success of last season. Almost like there's a concern that if we don't duplicate the success again, this might be our only chance. Versus saying, hey, look, we're looking at the league. We're looking at what happened last year. We're looking at these stars coming in. And if you would have just been patient and waited an extra year or two you could have really cashed in. And it seems like maybe they decided to opt out and capitalize on the success of this past season instead of being patient and getting a bigger bag.
True, like they like almost like striking while the iron is hot, but knowing that the iron is still going to stay hot even if you unplug it. You're at a level now. You're at a point where I think the league has growing leaps and bounds. You know, especially now as you get ready to hit the 30-year mark in 2 years. So yeah, I mean, it's in the up and up. And like, yeah, I agree. That's the thing where it's like you said, it's that delicate balance. Like I understand, like, yes, we want to do it now, but then, like you said, do you be patient and wait? But I understand, like, for some people, like, and I think when I know Angel Reese had Dejanay Carrington on, that's a different conversation where you look at somebody like a Dejanay Carrington who's a vet, you know, so you know she's ready to hit her prime. I think, in my personal opinion, she's like in her late 20s compared to like Angel Reese, who's like 22, and it's just like there's a difference. I mean, it's only a few year difference, but everybody's going to be in a different type of, and it's almost kind of like in other leagues where we look at like how the NFL does their stuff like that, where you got the quarterbacks, then you got the young kids who don't really care, they just there to make it, but then there's 35-year-old men that got children. I want to have health care when I'm 60. The 20-some-year-old kids, they don't care. They're invisible. We've all been 20. We've all thought that we're going to live forever at 20. So, and that's the thing. It's just, you're never really going to have it where all the players are going to agree, you know. So it's, everybody's going to come at it in a different way. And I think that's where hopefully their unity will get something done.
Yeah. And like Cool said, it may be a situation where they may not get what they want this year. And if so, then this plan could have kind of backfired. Because I think one thing that the league is going to do is they're going to say, whatever we agree to, we're locking this in for a minimum 5-6 years, whatever. And there is no opt-out of it into that period. There's not going to be any early opt-outs again. You're not coming back 2 years from now trying to hold us ransom again. Whatever we agree to, you locked in until the next one.
Yeah, and like Versatile One says, they are still financed. It will take time. It'll take time, but you know,
I agree.
They losing a lot of opportunities, and also Unrivaled has a big part to do with this too, because they getting a lot better pay in Unrivaled, and this is a league that's basically ran by 2 WNBA players around with some other partners. So they kind of looking at that and saying, "Hey, if they can pay us this, what's up?" Right? So you know, It's a couple of things that kind of hit at the same time that made them probably make this decision. We'll see if it ends up working out for them. So Damien says, I know this may sound controversial, but WNBA need to lower the rim and let these women really dunk. Yep, that definitely is controversial, and no one's going to want to see that but you, Damien. Well, maybe not and maybe I'm going too far. There's very few people that want to see that. Go ahead.
I don't think.
And don't tell that to Stewie. And don't tell that to Stewie, because when Tracy McGrady brought that up, you thought she seen a ghost.
Or CP or Lisa Leslie, you know, or any of the stars of the past, like Cheryl Swoops, any of them, don't say that to them.
Right.
I mean, let me say something controversial about Damon real quick. Do we also need to lower the rim in the NBA and encourage more men to dunk too? Because all I see is a bunch of 3-pointers getting jacked up every night.
Well, maybe for the men, we need to push the free throw line closer so they can make more.
That's true.
I don't know, man.
Or
Maybe
3-point line.
We're being controversial.
Look, maybe they want the free throw line moved back to the 3-point line since they like to jack them up all the time anyway.
Lord no, the percentages for the threes. Lord no, I don't want the free throw percentage to go down.
Right, and let's get rid of back-to-backs. You know what? They tired. They need rest.
They tired.
All right, AP says, random question. If things don't change soon, will we see Malik Neighbors talk himself out of New York? Nope, because they know that's what he wants. They're not getting what he wants.
Malik, blank twice if you're okay. We'll take you. We'll take you down 95 South and come on, be with your BFF.
Look,
you and Brandon Thomas too. Come on.
Look, Ask me again after the draft.
Shador?
Listen, I know we're about out of time, but just something I'm gonna throw out there for y'all to think about. You can throw in a quick thought about it if you want. Why does it seem like nobody wants these quarterbacks?
I'm gonna tell you something that happens every year, and people don't pay attention to this. If I'm a team that wants Shador Sanders, then what am I doing right now? If I'm not like the top team, top 2 team, if I'm like the number 3 team, maybe the number 5 team, number 7 team, what am I trying to do? I am trying to discredit Shador Sanders so that those teams ahead of me don't take him, so that I can jump on him like Diddy with a baby oil person at one of his parties when it's my pick.
I mean, listen, I don't disagree with you. I completely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about Tennessee, who's got Will Levis, and Cleveland, who has Kenny Pickett.
And then what's curious about it too is because I was thinking that the Jets and the Raiders were going to be kind of in that prime position to kind of, pun intended, kind of sort of. But anyway, to get him at 6 or 7. But then you look at their moves they've done this weekend. Like it seems like they're out of the Shador Sanders sweepstakes, because especially with the Jets getting a guy like a Justin Fields, then with the Raiders getting Geno Smith, unless you're going to think he's a bridge quarterback. I just found it odd. That's why I just found it so odd. Like those teams made those moves. Like who else is trying to in the lower, as far as 8, 9, 10, you think yourself, because now we're at a point where we're at the musical chairs and the music is about to end on somebody, and somebody ain't gonna have a seat.
So Damian says Sanders going to UFL, calling it now. False.
All right, let's go to defenders. AP, hey, let's make it happen. AP, let him go. Let him go to defenders.
AP says Sanders killed himself going to the NFL Combine and didn't do nothing. Did he though? Because the negativity towards him isn't about what he didn't do. He's arrogant. Arrogance has nothing to do with you working out.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of
guys.
They
got enough tape. They know who he is.
Yeah.
But like I said,
don't work out at the combine, but they work out at pro days.
And I guarantee you, that person who made that statement probably ain't even in the business to get a quarterback. Because remember, they said top 7. So I have a team that right.
Him to drop to them.
Right, and that's what I think. Yeah, and I think that's where it's a smoke screen. That's why, like, don't get caught in. I know a lot of people are thinking, reading between the lines. No, this happens all the time. Did y'all watch Draft Day?
Right.
It's out the Draft Day playbook.
Hey, Damian says, darn, for once I didn't come up with a Diddy joke.
Hey, AP, man, I'm looking at the comment over here. AP done with Phil Silky Johnson.
Anthony says, AP says, not being mean, so nobody blocking me, please. I hope the Giants draft Sanders so we can hurt him. I hate him so much. I mean, I don't know why you hate Sanders, but hey, man.
Play a hater.
Right. Hey.
And Damian comes just as salty.
All right, now I'm about to. All right, now.
If that's Silty Johnson, then this is beautiful right here. Sanders gonna be another Bronny in the NFL. Laugh out loud.
All right, Damian. Prime gonna come at you. He gonna be like how you gonna be Stephen A. Smith. You gonna be Stephen A. Smith. He gonna be and you right and LeBron.
He gonna be LeBron. He gonna be Stephen A. Smith.
Right. He gonna come to you in the fourth quarter in the huddle like, look, keep my son name out your mouth.
All right, I know we out of time, but we gotta talk about that real quick, Couch, because I'll let you set it off. Bronny, Stephen A. Smith. What's your thoughts, bro? I mean, LeBron, Bronny, Stephen A. Smith. What's your thoughts?
I mean, I hated it. I hated that LeBron even did this because I always know like LeBron is calculated. LeBron, when he makes a move, he's intentional. The fact that he did this in public, the fact that he really essentially brought this all on himself because he had a tweet 2 years ago saying that half these guys in the league was better than my son is better than half the league. You bring in that pressure because at this point, it's criticism. Like he'll probably curse me out because I said he should have stayed at USC and be under Musselman for a year to get some development. But your kid is not 5. Your kid is 20 years old. And I understand, yes, I'm a fatherless man. I mean, I'm a childless man. And I don't have children, so I don't know how it is to protect the child. But in the same token, if I know my son is in this situation, he's gonna have to handle it. He's in the league. He's not above approach. And this could have been done in the private. This could have been done privately.
I'm gonna just say I like what Stephen A. Smith said. Stephen A. Smith kind of said like what you're saying, like, hey, I didn't go at your son disrespectfully. I said, look, this is his stats. These are facts. I spit facts. None of it was opinion, was facts based on how he's played. He's played better in the G League. Right now, he needs to be in the G League developing. If you wanted to come to me, you didn't have to do it during the game. You could have hit me up after the game. We could have talked about it. But you did it in a public place. So since that's how we moving, that's how we moving. And my thing is, I have more respect for Stephen A. Smith and how he's handled this situation than 3/4 of the takes that he has. So, LeBron, you didn't want your mom helping you, but now you feel like you got to jump up and help your son. He's a man.
So I actually have a couple of different perspectives on this. So one is LeBron has to accept the fact of you wanted your son in the league. He's got to take criticism just like anybody else. Right? And you can't defend him from that. You gotta let that be. But I will also say this. Stephen A. Smith has a history of saying ridiculous things, right? Of making hot takes and doing things that he knows are going to piss people off. At some point, you also don't get to sit over there and say things that you know are going to get people mad and then play the victim. You don't get to do that either. It's like really and honestly, they both acting like children in my mind. It's like if you want to keep it factual and talk about Bronny's play or talk about anything that LeBron is doing, cool. But when you start, the only reason he's in the league is because of his dad. It may or may not be true, but the reality is it's still an opinion and it's not something that be coming out your mouth.
So what I heard him say, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I didn't hear it, but what I heard him say was the reason that he's on the Lakers right now and not in the G League is because of his dad, which I would 100% agree with. NBA period, I think he does deserve to be there because I think he's one of those guys that he didn't play a lot in college. Stephen A. even brought up the fact that, he's 2 years removed from the heart situation, so he's probably not 100% comfortable yet with going out there and going all out yet. So there was a lot of things that Stephen A. said that I'm like, okay. And I think that it's being portrayed, and this is, again, I haven't seen everything, but from what I've seen, that he was trying to make it sound like he was down on Bronny when he really was saying, I think Bronny has a chance to be a really solid NBA player. He just needs some time. He needs to be in the G League. He doesn't need to be on the NBA roster playing 3 minutes a game to 5 minutes a game when he could be in the G League developing and being one of the better players, which he is on the G League team.
Yeah. And it's all about the confidence, especially when you have a situation. And that's the thing. And that was my biggest issue too, because remember it used to be where, okay, he's only going to play home games in the G League. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, he needs to be on the road as well. He needs it. And then of course you got those, those Bronny loving and LeBron James loving. Well, we've never heard before anybody in the G League, and they're like, are you sure? Like, I am positive we have never, ever had the same situation. Will they get called up? Yes, they get called up strategically, like for one day and then come back. They don't have a restriction of they could be at home and then they can't be on the road, because that's another thing too. He hasn't had that confidence, because that's why I thought him coming back for his sophomore year was that this is his sophomore year at USC. Playing for the South Bay Lakers, in my personal opinion. Why not have that? And people have even had these scenarios where it's just like going from JV to varsity. This ain't high school, brother. Like, this is the NBA. Like, he's not going to graduate in 4 years or whatever. You're trying to get your second contract. You need these opportunities. You're on a 4-year deal, granted, but you need these type of opportunities. And like you said, you need that confidence. Like, you're not going to be having confidence sitting on the bench, and if the Lakers are losing by 20 points, you going in the final 2 minutes. Like, what's the point? I mean, you got to take a shower after the game.
Yeah, I think honestly, man, what
I think he's a baby wipe.
I think the comment specifically that I think really set LeBron off, in all honesty, was when he said, "I'm begging you as a father to stop this," because I can see why LeBron would honestly take that as like, you're attacking me as a parent. Like, you're basically telling me how I should be doing my son. And we all know how a lot of people get when you tell them how they should be raising their children.
I get that.
I think that's really what set him off. That doesn't excuse the way he did it. I think that the way he approached it was very childish, but I think that's what set him off.
I get it.
Yeah, and then you do it at a fourth quarter of a game, in between a game and the fourth quarter. What are you allowing, JJ Redick? You're going out the huddle and it's like, you know what? You know me go and confront Stephen A. Smith. I tell you one thing, Pat Riley would never. Eric Spoelstra would never. Pat Riley only let you eat cookies, much less you lead the bench in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter to confront Stephen A. Smith.
Arguing with a reporter.
Right.
I ain't playing for nobody that won't let me eat cookies, man.
Who you telling?
It's too ridiculous.
Cookies like oxygen to me. I can't breathe without cookies.
Some fresh chocolate chip. Nah, bro.
That part.
I'm gonna be over there like the Trail Sprewell on you. You try to take my chocolate chip.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh well, PJ gonna be gone.
Get your hands off my cookies.
Right. What the little boy said, like, chicken nuggets is my family.
Out your mouth.
Right. Yeah, man.
Oh, you eat my cookies. That's a whole nother level. That's
it's a wrap. Yeah.
You get Will Smith treatment, you eat my cookies, yo.
Who you telling? Right.
Word up.
Yeah, we fighting.
Yeah.
Cookies is oxygen. Yeah, cookies is oxygen.
So 2 things we all agree on: the women's tournament is going to be more interesting, and cookies are oxygen. That's what we all agree on.
I don't have a problem with either one of those statements.
And they'll be great, and they're great parents to watch to have during the tournament.
Fresh Toll House chocolate chip. You ain't got to make them for stretch. Fresh Toll House chocolate chip cookies. Women's tournament.
Mm-hmm. And there is a third thing that everybody on this panel agrees with. The Dallas Cowboys suck.
Absolutely. Always and forever.
Damien, I'm gonna give you the last comment. Damien says that's an entanglement you wouldn't want to be in. I rocks with it. Hey man, it's your boy Cool McCain.
Yeah.
Your boy Couch Coach. Your boy's Box. We back in the building every second Friday. Catch us with Couch Coach. Next week, we'll have another guest. The week after that, we'll have another guest. You know what?
And another one.
We those guys. The tag team champs are back. And we bringing in somebody else to make us trios champ every week. It's a different person, though, because that's how we do. Hey, with that being said, that's where you start. It's always where you finish. We ain't give you no intro or no outro. You see our faces the whole time. We out.